I kind of always thought that was going to happen. I kind of thought it would happen after 1 year. But, and I say that just because even seeing recent stuff with him and talking to him on the phone, first of all, I have no knowledge that he's coming back. I don't think anybody does that. I just, he's so sharp still. I almost feel like it's a waste that he's not. No disrespect to the media and what you guys do, but his ability to coach players and change lives in that, and he's so good at it. I just think he'll be back, whether that's NFL or college.
Left side, fourth row.
Dan Peck, ESPN 106.7 in Auburn. Coach had said different landscape in college athletics. Your confidence that the new rules can be policed and enforced?
I mean, it doesn't seem like it's happening, so I don't know that I have a lot of confidence in it. And that's no disrespect to the system or anybody involved in it. It just it doesn't seem like it's happening. And now you have what appears to be these, states passing where they're not going to have to. So I don't know how that could possibly work. Like I kind of jokingly said earlier, what are you going to, in the NFL, like, hey, there's a salary cap, but the NFC Central doesn't have to follow it. I mean, so maybe it'll work. It just doesn't seem like it's been a very, very good week or so for it.
Front row.
Dick Cox with Lindy Sports and Cox Sports Broadcasting. Coach, do you feel like coaches today would rather go and maybe get a player in the portal that they know has got that college experience, and you don't have to take the time to try to develop them as a freshman, and then if you do, then there's no, sure bet that that freshman's going to stay with you for 4 years? What do you think that most coaches are doing?
Well, I think that's really complicated. I think that, the question always used to be, do you build through, like in NFL, professional sports, you build through free agency or the draft? And teams have their ideas with that. The problem with this is it's not, do you build through free agency in the portal or do you build through the draft? In high school, because in the draft, you draft them and you have them for 3 to 4 years, whatever the contract by round is. You can say build through high school, but you don't know if you have them. You don't know if you have them for their second semester. So I think that's a really complicated question. All depends on, I don't think it's a number like you take this many in portal, this many in high school. I think there's a lot of stuff within that, and evaluating the ones you do take and who are they, who are their families, how do they think, are they more up to stay when things don't go their way? So there's just a lot to that.
Left side, front row, and then pass it to your left.
Hey, Coach Michael Bronner, WNSP in Mobile. You talked a little bit about it upstairs, but can you address your relationship with Hugh Freeze? Obviously, you have a lot of fun on social media with the golf and the fishing, but you guys are linked between both being at Ole Miss and then rumored Auburn job before he got it. If you could just talk a little bit about y'all's relationship.
Yeah, I like Coach Freeze a lot. I think he's done a good job. He was really good to my brother when my brother worked for him, or my dad would come visit them. So I just have fun with people. And you guys think that was, or a lot of people think that I was directing, like when I was fishing in the park, because that had something to do with his golf. It wasn't. It was way back to a years ago thing when he was kind of flexing on like a picture of like a 2-pound bass or something like that he posted. So that's kind of where the whole fishing thing started.
Right side, second row.
Alex Byington on 3, 8 lane. Kind of along those same lines, maybe to go behind the curtain a little bit, but the method to the madness with the social media and kind of, obviously you're promoting your program, promoting yourself, your own brand, but what goes into kind of when you do decide to send a tweet? What's the mentality there?
Chris Lowe asked me before, he's like, man, you seem really like quiet today, like, no kind of like lines that you're giving people and stuff. And I said, some of that, a lot of that was by design. That I think that when you take a job and you're at a place where maybe it's been down a little bit and how kids are today, like, you've got to get out there. You've got to do things to be creative to get your brand out there that are non-traditional versus just, well, play really well. Well, yeah, okay, well, that takes a while to play really well and have the performance on the field. So it brings attention to your program. Recruits see it. Parents see it. I get all the time with parents, whether I'm going there or whether they're coming to me, and they're like, I feel like I already know you because of your social media. Like, we love it. So there's a lot in there because of that, kind of the stirring the pot stuff and things like that. And then I think you don't do quite as much once your program, has got to a point where you do have national attention for your brand. I think where we are now compared to where we were 5 years ago. But then there's still some little stuff in there that's just, I feel like I look at social media on a daily basis if I do things just as a normal person. Like, hey, that's funny, so I retweet that, just kind of like normal people do. And so there's that part there's not a whole lot of thought into. Like, somebody said, like they put things on like phones, like the sober thing where you got to blow in, like, for your car keys and stuff. Like they put that on your phone for social media, like just from a standpoint of like, hey, you have to wait 5 minutes. Like when you write a post, before you post it, you got to wait 5 minutes, before you actually push send. Because a lot of times people send me stuff and I just hit the button and like retweet it, because it's not that big a deal.
Front row, and then pass it to your left.
Travis Brown, KBTX. Piggybacking off the earlier question, I think when enforcement does eventually come down, it'll involve universities kind of having to do what's better for the sport as a whole, maybe not good for their institution. Do you see schools doing that? Is that something that can be expected moving forward, that more people will kind of do what's good for the whole of college football?
You're asking like teams in the SEC, are they going to do what's best for the whole of college football versus like their immediate need in their program in the SEC? I think you know that answer. I mean, that's the world we live in. That's college football in general. Like, you better win now, and especially SEC. So, unfortunately, I don't think you're going to see a lot of that. Of, hey, this is a really good thing to do for college football, but you might lose some games and lose recruits because of it. I think it's too competitive for that. And are there penalties for, if you're over this cap or the contracts and all those things, I think too is, okay, well, what are those and when do those happen? And do people get to win before those happen? Do they get to load up a roster and go win that year and then, you get some penalties afterwards? So like I said up there on the stage, we've operated for a while. It goes back to retention last December, January of our current players. The 2 portals since then, we operated that we were told this cap was coming, it was going to get passed, and that everybody was going to follow this, and it was going to be really enforced. So that's how we put together our roster.
Front row, white shirt.
Lane, 3 close losses last year. Anything specific in those losses that you could carry over, now that you're able to reflect, that you could carry over into this year to produce wins when you had those losses?
Yeah, I think run the ball better. The year before, we were either 4-0 or 5-0 in one-score games, and then we were 0-3. It wasn't because all of a sudden we didn't know what we were doing. The ability to run the ball better would have definitely helped, especially 2 of those were ahead with the ball in those games. It can close them out. So I think that's a big one. But I also don't, and I'm not making an excuse like, oh, he doesn't even care about getting better, but I also don't go change a program because some one-score games one year go one way, the next year they go the other way. That's just really how it normally ends up happening over time. Just usually they're not 1 year and then 0-3 in the second year.
Right here in the middle, third row.
Sam Hutchins, Clarion Ledger. Yeah, just Lane, real quick on your social media strategy. What's the story behind your profile picture? There's like a cartoon bee on your shoulder in it.
Yeah, that's been a long time. I forgot about that. That was actually a Tennessee fan, and something to her daughter that was really, impactful. And from the story, when I remember reading it, and something that she had sent me, so it was something to do with that. I forgot about that.
Right side, fourth row.
Hi, Coach Kiffin. Back here, Carmen Corley with WTOK. You have a lot of success developing players with how much turnover you see. How do you get them, whether it's a transfer or new guys, to buy into your culture so quickly?
Well, I think that we just have a really good culture. We have a really good staff that now is together for a second year in a row without losing anybody, that the expectations are set. And it's a little bit like parenting, you know, when you kind of have it nailed versus, okay, we're figuring it out and there's, you know, different sets of rules from different assistants and stuff. Our players know that this is the way they got to do things, and then when they come in, that's the expectation. I think it helps us that we recruit and coach the same way. We don't, when you come on your recruiting visit, we don't like have all this fluff and all this stuff like around it, like, and then treat you one way, like a lot of programs, and then when you get there, all of a sudden it's like, whoa, this isn't what you were like in recruiting. So kids don't come to us if that's what they're looking for. They understand, like, this is how we are. So I think that helps too.
Left side, third row.
Tyler Shaw with KBTX and College Station. With the new conference and the new schedules now, do you miss not playing Texas A&M now, not having them on your schedule?
Yeah, I do. That was a good series for us. So yeah, I wish we were playing them.
We're going to go in the back row, gentleman in the blazer.
Yeah, Chris Williams, News 9, Oklahoma City. Coach, after OU hired their new offensive coordinator, I heard that the air raid doesn't work in the SEC. Can the air raid offense work, and if so, what ingredients are needed to make that happen?
It can work. I could be wrong on the stat. I feel like the most yards ever in a game, you know, was Leach. Was that against LSU or something? So it works. So I would disagree with that. Plus, you got to be careful of, like, systems are just because something's titled a type of system, whether it was West Coast way back before or whatever it is, spread or whatever, that doesn't mean they're all exactly the same. There's intricacies within it. So that guy's done a great job, and I'm sure he'll do really good.
Final question on the aisle here, second row.
Thanks so much. David Edelstein, WJTV in Jackson, Mississippi. With the way that the season concluded last year, being just on the brink of breaking into that first ever 12-team college football playoff, what is your sense of the vibe of the team and kind of the message heading into it with a new team this year, but looking to have the same goal and just take that last step in?
Yeah, the team's so new. I think like a lot of college football, unfortunately, your rosters have turned over so much.